Hey everybody, welcome to your horoscopes for this week. These are the horoscopes for the week ending 10/17/2015. We're getting closer and closer and closer to Halloween, and this is the last official full week of the sun being in Libra before the sun moves on to Scorpio next week, and we're entering into the time of Scorpios. But we're not ready to move into the time of Scorpio yet. We're still in Libra time. It's official. The Mercury retrograde is over this week. Thank goodness. We are, though, still in a bit of a shadow period, so we might have a little bit of an issue. But after this coming up week, it's completely over and we're back to normal again. It's great. So we're going to get right to the horoscopes to find out what is in store for you all this week. And we're going to start, as we always do, with Aries. Of course, Uranus's opposition with the sun is going to stay for the remainder of this week, but it's not quite a T-square as the moon and Pluto sort of lose that squared position. Now, Uranus is, of course, still in squared position with Pluto. That's not going to change anytime soon, unfortunately. Fingers crossed for next year. I haven't looked at it yet, but my fingers are crossed for you guys for next year. Hopefully it'll break up then. But this is going to create a bit of a challenge for you guys this week, as it really kind of sort of makes you feel as if you have to change who you are or what you're about in order to be successful in your career. And that is a sticky situation right there. It presents a big challenge on an emotional level and even on a personal level. But more than that, it can be very, very, very difficult to keep your mind focused on what indeed change really is, especially when it comes to positive change. Now, there's two different things that could be happening here. One, when you're talking about personal growth or professional growth, this is a form of change. Of course, this is you learning and growing into your craft to be better at what you do, and that's a completely different story. Of course, that kind of growth and transformation is important. It's important for everybody, and it's important not just in your professional life, it's important in all aspects of your life. But what I'm talking about that's challenging is being in a situation where you are being made to feel like you have to be somebody completely different in order to be successful, and that is simply not okay. Whether it's somebody else that's making you feel like this or your own thought process that is making you feel like this, and Uranus's retrograded position is moving into this position where it is thought based or thought focus based. It's time to really pay attention to your thoughts on this one. Are you coming up with this thinking that you need to make this change in order for people to accept what you're doing? Or is this actually happening? And if it is actually happening, how much of this are you holding on to in your thought process? Bottom line for you guys this week is, if somebody's trying to tell you that you have to be different in order to be successful, I have a hand gesture for them that unfortunately I'm not going to be able to put on the video here because I try not to do that, but that's what they deserve right there. Screw them. They're not worth it. Go somewhere else, because it is important for you to be you with what you're doing and not do something that somebody else thinks that you should be doing. That's their dream, not yours. You're not living your dream. You don't have to compromise yourself in order to get what you want. That's not how that works. And you, of course, want to do this in the independent, very quirky, and very individualized way that you do things. So this week, when you're feeling like somebody is putting you in that position, stop overthinking it. Don't spend too much time in your head trying to figure out what you can do to get around it. It's really quite simple. You take me as I am, or you don't take me at all. Bye-bye now. And you guys are a powerhouse because you're Rams, so have a great week with that. Taurus, this week is definitely showcasing the beautiful ways that Tauruses are there to serve others or to help others and be there for others. It's actually one of the most wonderful things about Tauruses is they just, they have such beautiful hearts that they put them into everyone and everything around them. But at the same time, when it comes down to you needing something, oftentimes you'll find yourself battling these situations alone, because it seems that all of these things that you've done for everybody else and you're sitting there by yourself with nobody there to help you out. This is a very tough situation. It hits very deeply on emotional levels for sure. And it is it unfair? Yes, it is kind of unfair. I mean, the amount of energy, and we're talking like 100 to 150% of the heart and everything that you have going into others and the people that you love, to find yourself feeling completely and totally alone when you need somebody the most is a very, very, very difficult thing to go through. But it's also a very necessary lesson. This week, when you find yourself in that position, it really is time to look in that mirror and determine how much of that beautiful love and support that you give everybody else is directed at you. Not from them, but from you. This is what's really important, and this is the lesson that's coming out of this challenge for you guys. For a lot of people, and I've worked with a lot of people and met a lot of people that do this sort of thing or have this sort of cycle or go through this sort of cycle, there's two things that are happening here. One, you're putting all your energy into other people to avoid putting the energy into yourself for a reason. Whether it's avoiding working on yourself or letting go of roots or any kind of personal development. Ultimately, this is what you're doing. And other people and giving your love and support to other people is a darn fine excuse as to why you can't put that into yourself. But you're only hurting yourself, not them. Because then you find yourself in this situation where you're battling something alone and you don't have the support that you need or you want. And this week is a beautiful time to understand why that is on an internal level for you, and be able to look in that mirror and give to yourself first what you are giving to everybody else, because the truth is you deserve it more than they do. And it's not saying that they don't deserve it, and it's not saying that they're jerks because they're not there for you at the moment when you feel that you need them. There is a lesson in this for you, and you have two choices in this particular situation. You can continue to go the old route and get upset because nobody's there and ignore the situation that you're going through, which means it's going to come back later. Or you can take this time to really look at you and what you need to do to make the improvements in yourself, both on an internal and a physical level. So you guys, this week may not be the best week in the world, but when you find these situations come up, it turns into a beautiful week when you can take these situations, stop beating yourself and everybody else around you up over them, and really look at what you can do, what your accomplishments are, and above all, provide that love and support to you first before everybody else. Because how are you going to take care of everybody if you're not taking care of yourself first? So you guys have a great week with that. Gemini, this week, your day-to-day schedule includes a lot of time within some of your relationships this week. They kind of mold together, and the reason why they're molding together is not so much because these people are going to take up large periods of time in your schedule, but they're actually a very important part of your day-to-day activities. We all have those people in our lives, our friends, our family, the kids, our parents, our siblings, whatever, all these different people, even professional relationships, and we communicate with these people back and forth all day long, sometimes without even really paying much attention to the fact that we are communicating with these people all day long. Now, the beautiful thing about this, though, is that there's a lot of positive interaction with these relationships. Y'all, every text message, every story that you read to the kids, every little interaction that you have in a positive way is really telling you or defining the meaning behind why you're doing all of these things, why you're doing these things in your day-to-day activities in the first place. There's obviously a reason for it, and these people oftentimes are the reason for it. There's also another really good reason to take a look at and pay attention to all of the positive correspondence you have within your relationships this week. Because we're human, and we go through all kinds of different things in one day, just one day. We're not even going to go to a week, just one day between waking up in the morning and going to bed at night. There could be 10,000 fiascos, but that one person, that one text message that you get out of nowhere that says, I love you more than life itself. That one text message should negate every ridiculously crazy thing that took place throughout the day. Whereas normally the way that we focus on it is we focus on all the negatives, and then, oh yeah, and I got this nice text message from so-and-so, and they love me, and that was really sweet, in the middle of all of this mess and fiasco. That's not how you want to look at your life if you want to look at your life successfully. So this week, it's not just about bringing these people into your life or into your day-to-day schedule. That is important, but they're already there. This week, it's really about taking some time out of your schedule to really identify with and enjoy all of those little interactions that you have throughout every single day of this week, and make the most of them, because by doing that, you're telling all of the negative, all of the obstacles, and all of the challenges that they're nowhere near as important as your blessings. So you guys have a great week with that. Cancer, you know what? You guys deserve a break. And this week, that's what it's all about. There is just a lovely, beautiful break happening for you Cancers this week. And how this is happening is there's really no planet influence. There's really no house influence either. You're sort of in between houses. You've been focusing a lot on money and monetary physical changes lately. And can be a really, really heavy thing to be focusing on. So, of course, you deserve the right to take a break and kind of sort of be in between things. Now, some people would consider this to be a little bit boring, but I think you Cancers are going to fare a little bit better than the more logical air elements, because you guys will enjoy this break a lot. But it's not just about laying around and doing nothing for a week. It's about taking some time to spend some time with yourself, most of all. Pamper yourself. Spend some time when these, old feelings or old patterns or things that you know are just keeping you from moving forward with what it is that you need to do. Spend some time focusing on them. Nobody said that it was going to be fun, and I didn't promise that it's going to be fun. It's a very emotional experience, but the other side of it is so amazing. I couldn't even really describe it to you. That's how amazing it is. I know for me personally, I'm not a Cancer, but I have a Cancer rising. And for me personally, being an air sign, I don't like emotional breakdowns. But I'm human, and I have to deal with them. Because as human beings, this is just what we have to deal with. This week, as they start to come up a little bit, take the time to stop running away from them and really face them head on. Really look at them and try and understand why you're still holding on to it. And give yourself the opportunity to let it go, so it's not holding you back anymore. It really is time. And when you think about it, I'm going to pose a question to you guys that I want you to think about this week when it comes to these things coming up. Do you want to be like this forever, or do you want to make a positive change that's going to catapult you forward into doing what you want to do? I'm going to assume that the answer to that question is number 2 and not number 1, because I know you guys can do this. So this week is a nice little vacation, but unfortunately sometimes when a vacation comes in, that leaves us open time to deal with things that maybe we don't want to deal with. But this week, you guys are going to be brave, you're going to be strong, and you're going to face that stuff head on and let it be behind you where it's supposed to be, so that in the week after, you're all fresh and ready to go to move forward and do amazing things. So you guys have a great week with that. Leo, it looks like money is going to be on your mind for the Leos this week, and we're officially out of having any planetary influences in your sign, as Venus left last week. So we're done. We're done with planet influences for a while, with the exception of the moon, which isn't even coming this week anyways. So you have nothing to either positively or negatively affect this money situation. It just is what it is. This is a situation that's probably come up before about 1,000,000 times in your life, when you're faced with a situation where you need some extra funding for something, whether it's something that you want or something that you need. Now, oftentimes when it comes to money, And I've been here. A lot of people have been in this situation where they need extra money. They go straight to worrying and overthinking a mile a minute about what they need to do in order to get this money. But also, we've noticed that if you look back on your life at the amount of times that you've gone through this, how many times has that worrying really worked for you? I mean, let's be honest about that. It doesn't. It actually gets in the way. It keeps you from being productive. And when you're talking about manifestation to the universe or creator, your higher power, it's like saying, yes, I want this, but no, I don't, and closing the door. It counteracts the good, and because you're actually putting a negative manifestation behind a positive manifestation. This week, it's time to change all of that, guys, because you definitely can do better than that. When you find yourself in that position where you need that extra cash, don't worry about it. Give it up. Give it up to your guides. Give it up to your higher power. Give it up to the universe. Give it up to whoever you trust to help you take care of it. And then don't worry about it. Don't think about it. Take it out of your head. Just have faith that it's going to work out, because it always does. If you've looked back on your life, how many times have you been really out in the cold completely and totally with nothing? And I mean nothing. Not a stitch of clothing on out in the snow. Nothing. Come on, guys. Really. Let's think about this. Not everybody has been in that situation before. And chances are you may have cut it close, or maybe been in a situation where you fear that it's close, but really it's not. So this week, it's all about changing that. Step out of the worrying. The worrying's not going to get you anywhere. And instead plan for it. Save it up. Come up with a plan. Be proactive. And leave your mind clear for ideas that pop into your mind from the universe or your guides that are excellent for making some extra capital, or just leaving yourself clear to be able to see anything that might be presented to you in the physical world by others. You never know. You don't want to focus on where the money's coming from. You just want to believe that it's going to come, because when you ask, you receive. It happens almost every time, but you have to believe that you're worth receiving. So this week, it's all about stopping that worrying when it comes to money, because the truth is, the more you worry about whether or not you're going to get the money, the longer it's going to take for the money to come to you. And you don't want to stand in the way of your money door. That just doesn't make any sense. So you guys have a great week with that. Virgo, as Mars and Venus move into conjunction with Jupiter this week, this aspect alone is going to pack a huge punch in both challenging and very positive aspects. And the more challenging the aspect, of course, the more you can get out of it. This is really what we want to focus on when it comes to challenges. They're not just obstacles to stop us from going anywhere. They're a way of saying, I'm not, they're a way of doing it and doing it better than you thought before, basically. Jupiter and Mars are going to be in complete conjunction with each other by the end of the week, and this combination right here is creating some beautiful energy when it comes to having the energy behind expanding your dreams and goals, especially those ones that are so important to you, with that influence of Venus coming in there also. But all three planets together, of course, are in that T-squared position with Saturn and Neptune, and this is going to create the challenge here. It is going to make you feel like you don't have the support of those that you would like to have support from in order to do this. And it kind of sort of makes you feel like you're flailing out there by yourself a little bit. But at the same time, when you're out there and you're happy about your accomplishments and what you've been able to do, and you find other people just don't really seem all that interested, they're like, oh yeah, that's cool. It can be a real downer, especially when you're so excited about it, like you're going to explode. It's just so amazing, right? Well, the reason for this is you put the work into it. It's all about you. How could they even understand how epic it is without being every single step of the way there with you? It's just impossible for them to really get it unless they've been through it themselves. So that creates a little bit of a challenge, but it's counteracted in such beautiful ways by Jupiter, Mars, and Venus's trine with Pluto. And Pluto sits in the it's all about you place. It is all about you. It's time for you to step into your power, Virgos, because you are powerful and you don't need anybody else's validation in order to step into that power. It's all about you and it ain't about them. So this week, when these little challenges come up, don't take them as this is it right away, because this is not it. It's so much more. There's so much more behind it. But you've got to be the one to step over that obstacle to see what's on the other side. And I'm telling you, it can be amazing. It's all about your dreams. It's all about achieving your dreams. But you've got to be the one to say, I'm going to do it, whether people are there to support me or not, because really, it is all about you. So you guys have a great week with that. Libra, this is the last official full week of the sun in Libra and the first week of the Mercury retrograde being over, which we're all happy about, whether we're Libras or not, basically. It hasn't been the worst retrograde in the world, but it hasn't been the nicest one either for everybody, at least most people that I've talked to during the Mercury retrograde. It's been a little bit wonky and a little bit crazy. But it's over now, although we are still in the shadow period, which usually lasts about a week. So things might be a little bit tricky still this week, especially for you Libras, because Mercury is in Libra. But it doesn't have to be all that bad. Now, the sun is no longer towards the end of the week in squared position with Pluto, so that T-square is broken up. But he's still in opposition with Uranus, and this does bring a little bit of a difficulty when it seems that you can't seem, it just feels like no matter what you do, you can't seem to shine when it comes to your career. It's like you're not meant to do it, right? But at the same time, Mercury's aspect with Saturn is really all about finding the support and finding the supportive words that you need in order to catapult you to your dreams. Now, let's look at this for what it is, okay? Just because something isn't working here doesn't mean that it's not going to work over here. And you don't want something not working here taking up so much of your focus that you miss out on opportunities over here. I hope you guys are following me here on this, because remember, it's all about balance, and you have to balance out all aspects of your life. What's going on in your career has nothing to do with your dreams. And if something's not working here, just may need to tweak things just a little bit. This week, really, it's all about what it is that you can accomplish. You put so much time and energy into other people. This is the time for them to step up and show their support and show the responsibility that they have to you for everything that you've done for them. Now, this is not something that people get all the time, guys, so use it, jump on it, and use it. There's no reason for you to have to do everything on your own, okay? So that's number one. Number two, this beautiful aspect between Mercury and Saturn is really important when it comes to communicating what it is that you want out of your goals and dreams. Make sure you're specific. And while you're doing this, you have to understand that everything you do is being watched by all these people that you've helped. And they're all sitting there ready to learn from you, because you're the one who makes it look like you can do anything. So this week, you know what? You really can do anything. That is what it's about this week. So dare to do whatever it is that you want to do. Make these changes that you want to make for yourself. And if things are sticky in one area, don't let it take over your entire life, because really, it's not that important. And you guys have a great week with that. Scorpio, the moon is about to take you guys on a wild ride this week, and it's not necessarily a bad one, okay? So don't panic now, guys. But when she moves into your sign, especially Tuesday through Thursday, I should say, is when she moves into your sign. And as she does, especially Wednesday, these aspects are at their peak, where she forms not one but two grand sextiles with Pluto, with Neptune, and with Jupiter, Mars, and Venus. We're talking like major, almost every single planet is involved in this aspect, with the exception of the Sun and Uranus, off the top of my head, not looking at it. It's a really big boost when it comes to your dreams, your career, doing things in a new way and not necessarily going back to old ways that didn't work for you when it comes to, really deep emotions and things like that. But it really is just like a powerful boost of energy towards your goals. And really, because Pluto is involved, it is all about you and stepping into who you are meant to be and what you are meant to be. Make that transformation. Make that change. Don't be afraid to step into the shoes of what you're meant to be. This is what these aspects are telling you. Now, what's the downside? There really isn't a downside unless you choose to create one. So you don't want to do that, guys. But the downside, of course, with this amount of change is always a fear. Fear of what's on the other side of that. Fear of success. Fear of failure. Fear of all kinds of things. Don't be afraid. These types of changes have to be made. It's part of our growth process. And of course, you want to grow into the amazing individual that you know you can be. So this week, when the moon comes in to give you this influence, it really is time to say, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready to step into these shoes. I'm ready to see what I'm capable of. I'm ready to show the world what I'm capable of. And what anybody else has to say about it in a negative way, I'm really not interested in it, because that's their problem and not yours. So you guys, be the brave powerhouses that I know you can be, and have a great week with that. Sagittarius, Saturn is in that head point of that T-squared position still, of course, with Neptune, Jupiter, Mars, and Venus. They're all mixed in there, unfortunately, and it is creating a big challenge for you, especially when you feel like you're not getting the support that you need when it comes to things that you want to do, basically. And this is an old situation. This is such an old story. We've seen, like, several different renditions and reruns of it, if you know what I mean. It's like the same old situation all over again. You come up with this fantastic idea. You want to do it. You want to put all this energy into it. You get really excited about it. Everybody else gets excited and says, oh yeah, I want to jump on that. And then when it comes down to it, nobody's there to put the work into it. It's like that children's book with the little red hen. She was going to make the bread. She, everybody, nobody wanted to help her make the bread. But when the bread was done, everybody wanted a piece of it, of course. And, she made a good point by telling them, no, you weren't here to help me make it. I asked for your help. You didn't want to help me, so I'm not sharing my bread. I'm not saying, of course, that you should do that. But what I am saying is that if this is the same old situation, it cannot be handled in the same old way. Otherwise, you're going to have the same old outcome that you always have every single time. Now, Saturn's aspect with Mercury is beautiful. It really does help you out in this situation in big ways, helping you to communicate this issue on an emotional level and a logical level too, and in such a way that is way different than what you've done before. You don't want to do the same thing over again. You're going to have the same mess again later on. This challenge is coming up to help you break a pattern that just hasn't worked your whole life. So why keep doing it? I mean, it just doesn't, when you think about it, it really doesn't make any logical sense. But we human beings are so programmed, whether we ourselves have programmed ourselves or other people have programmed us, that we just sort of do the same thing over and over again and don't even think about it. This week, it's time to put a stop to all that mess right now. We're not doing things in the same way. We want to create a different result. And in order to do that, you're going to have to try different ways of dealing with the situation so that you don't have the same result. So you guys, challenges, schmallenges, okay? You're Sagittarians. If you're going to let a little thing like a challenge get in your way, well then obviously you're not the Sagittarian that I thought you were when it comes down to it. But at the same time, it is all a learning experience when you think about it. This challenge it could be a big one. It does feel like a big one. But the bottom line is, it's a learning experience, a big learning experience. And the bigger the learning experience, the bigger the rewards are once you've learned the lesson. So you guys, have a great week with that. Capricorn, Pluto's squared position with the sun is going to break up to this week, which means that it won't necessarily be a T-square anymore, which is nice. But of course, Pluto is still in that squared position with Uranus. Now, it's not going to be as big of a challenge as it has been the last couple of weeks with the sun aspecting these two planets. but it is still a little bit of a challenge, especially when it feels like you can't do things in the same way that you've always done them. It just seems like it's not going to work. Capricorns are very, very, very much into the tried and true. If it's always worked, it's going to work this time, right? And that usually does work, but occasionally an out-of-the-box way of doing something is really the way that you need to go. So this week, with this aspect with Uranus, it's kind of sort of feeling like you can't change who you are. You are who you are, and you don't do out of the box. You do what makes sense and what's logical. But at the same time as Pluto is aspecting Jupiter and Mars and Venus and Neptune, it's really telling you that you can be successful with new ideas and new changes, especially when it comes to your goals and dreams. The old tried and true is always good, but you got to add some new elements into it every now and then so it doesn't become the same thing over and over and over again. You don't want to act like you're in the same TV show. You've just changed sets all the time. That's not how it's supposed to work. In order to make these transformations and grow, we have to step out of the box. We have to do things that we normally wouldn't do. We have to make these changes in order to make things work in different ways. It's definitely part of your growth process. It's definitely something that's new and exciting. And yes, it's a little bit of a risk, but I'm telling you, you could be missing out on something that's more amazing than you ever thought possible by doing it the same way that you did before. So you guys, be brave. You don't have to completely change yourselves. You can still be the steady nose to the grind Capricorns that you should be, but just change it up a little bit. Add something new. Add a little kick. Add something in there that doesn't make any sense, because these are those little things that are going to make what you're doing pop into the most amazing thing you've ever done. And you guys have a great week with that. Aquarius, this week you may be finding yourself taking a bit of a trip down memory lane, specifically for advice on current situations. We go through these situations oftentimes in life. Everybody does. It seems that we have our own reruns, so to speak, of these situations that mimic feelings of past situations. And it's both good or bad. I'm not necessarily saying that these are negative situations. They can be very positive situations that we're looking back on old memories of also. But this week, looking to the past in order to find the answer to a current situation is definitely important. When it comes to a negative or a negative emotional situation, oftentimes those situations are rooted in past situations that have an emotional root there. And it's important, though not pleasant, to let go of that root. And by letting go of that root, what I mean is we face it, we deal with it, we embrace it no matter how angry and upset it makes us feel, and then we let that anger and upset go and tell that root in that situation and the person who created it, even if it's ourselves, we're no longer accepting this anymore. It's time to move on from it. Now, this is essential in the growth process. But again, it doesn't have to be a negative situation. It could be a positive situation at the same time. This week, if you're going through a circumstance and you're just not sure how it's going to work out, take a look back on situations that are very similar to this one. You'll see your past successes, and you'll be able to see how you got there. You'll see your past failures, and you'll be able to see what you did or the mistakes that you made in order for those situations to not necessarily work out very well. And it is a trip down memory lane after all. So there's also opportunities to just take some time and remember some wonderful, pleasant, awesome, maybe not so good memories, because those memories are all there for a reason. Good, bad, or indifferent, they shaped you and who you are. And it's important to spend some time with them every now and then, because it is such a big, important part of of anybody's, the human structure. So you guys have a great week with that. And finally, Pisces. Neptune's aspect, of course, that T-squared position with Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, and Venus is a heavy one, as it has you feeling like the current situation that you're dealing with is moving into a direction where it's going to be a failure, just like it has been in the past, or similar situations for you have been in the past. And this especially revolves around your goals and dreams this week. When it comes to the point where you feel like you don't have the support, the emotional support and the physical support from those that are supposed to be there to support you, and everything just seems like there's huge walls in between you and what you want. It's really, really, really easy for anybody really to say, you know what, I give up, because it's obviously not going to work, and just walk away from it. But at the same time, Neptune's aspect with Pluto says, no, just because this has happened in the past doesn't mean that it has to have the same outcome now. Look at what it is that's keeping you feeling this way. Your number one support system is you, not everybody else. And everybody can't be expected to be there to support you whenever you need them to support you. I'm not saying that you're being selfish thinking that you should have support. Everybody should have support. But we all also go through these instances where we feel like nobody's there for a reason, because really it is time for us to look internally on this one. Look at ourselves. Be supportive to ourselves. You are your best support system. And if you believe in what you're doing, hang everybody else's beliefs, because they don't matter. There's no weight in them whatsoever. This week it's all about you. It's all about your transformation. And this is part of your transformation. It seems like everything is going to fall apart before it gets better. It always does. So if you're at that point where you feel this is it, this is the end, it's all falling apart, you better keep on going. Because if you do, chances are once it hits rock bottom, it has nowhere to go at that point but up. And you don't want to let yourself down, because remember, you're your biggest support system and not everybody else. So you guys have a great week with that. Thank you so much for watching the horoscopes for this week. I'm Melissa Bruce, the Heavy Metal Psychic. We got readings, of course. Our 13-card tarot for 2016 is out. It's live. People are getting them left and right, so don't forget to get yours. This is a reading that is only available the last 4 months of the year. We've already finished with September, so we're down 1 month. We've got October, November, December, and on December 31st at midnight Pacific time, it's over. We're not taking any more orders for this one, so make sure you get them by the end of the year for sure. Also, how about a chart progression for 2016? Those are available also. All you have to do is get in contact with me via my website, via my groups, via my Facebook page, via wherever you can find me, because I'm all over the place, really. But a chart progression to see what the planets have in store for you for next year is definitely an awesome idea also. That all being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the horoscopes for this week. I love all the support and love that you guys give me. It just makes my heart just so big. And you guys are awesome. I hope you have a seriously kick-ass week this week.